Hey everyone. So, this chapter came with a surprise, you could say, uh, as we get introduced to the man that Rox had met at the Reverie 8 years ago when he was trying to form alliances. And yeah, you know the fucking internet is gonna go ballistic with this if they haven't already. Like, fuck, who am I kidding? It's the internet that probably already are. Rox D. Zebek, future captain of the Rox Pirates, father of Blackbeard. Like, what more can I even fucking say to that shit? Like, it's been something that people have been theory crafting for fucking so fucking long, and like, now that it's here, it's like, yeah, it's, what more can be said? It's when you finally get it revealed, and it's a lot of things just kind of fall into place. Everything's starting to make sense. Like even just something simple as as Marco's throwaway line back on Marineford of of the reason as to why Blackbeard is able to have two devil fruits is because his body has always been strange. Like, it's because, yeah, he's basically he's the father of Rox D. Zebek, and it's, March and like, and I think this is, I don't know if this is maybe an intentional, if you could say this was an intentional choice because of this on Oda's part too, but him, like, in a way, him, like, Blackbeard's name, Marshall D. Teach, like, the thing that he already did cleverly with both Whitebeard and Blackbeard is he combined the names of both of both of both the original Blackbeard's names into two characters, Edward Newgate and Marshall D. Teach. Like, they're both kind of technically names of the same character, Blackbeard, and I think in a way, look, again, I might be overthinking it a bit, but that might have been some ways an intentional choice in order to hide Blackbeard's true name and whatnot. Like, again, don't know for sure, but it's like, yeah, and like, again, like, what more can I say on this? Like, like, Rox being Blackbeard's father, like, I think the only question now is, with this reveal, is who he fucked. Like, really, I think that's the only question, is like, who the fuck did Zebek fuck to produce Blackbeard? But in a way it does, but more importantly, it does kind of put, I think, a lot of Blackbeard's words when Whitebeard first met him, about how he considered himself a cursed child or something like that, because he literally was the father of the most dangerous criminal in history. And yeah, with this chapter, obviously, it's like, obviously he says, one, and when Loki meets him, it's like, yeah, Loki in his lifetime has definitely met a lot of interesting figures. Like, it's one of those interesting cases where we see how, being a giant, you do tend to meet a lot of different people over your life, and yeah, in this case, he met Rox, he met Rox. Like, who the fuck, like, he met Rox, he met Blackbeard, he met Shiki, or Whitebeard, he met Shiki the Golden Lion. Like, yeah, this Loki, for being technically young by the giant years, has met a lot of people. Now, I guess the other question though is, like, why does Zebek want to meet Harold? Because obviously they met to discuss something, so it's they may have met or discussed something at the Reverie, so it's like, how are we going to get into that? Are we going to finally get a little more context into what they were, into their meeting now? Well, I don't know. I just want to know how Zebek and how Rox and Harold are associated with each other, because it's seemingly like this might be connected as the reason why Harold died that day. Now, frankly, because just being associated with a pirate of Rox's caliber, yeah, it doesn't look good on the king, no matter how you look at it. And I guess circling back to Loki, though, this chapter definitely showed that that Loki, again, much like last chapter, like Loki has been through it. Like he's someone who's basically been abandoned by people who were supposed to be his family, or abused by them. Like even when left in the care of Estrid's brother, was like, yeah, I'm gonna take care of this brat, but I'm not gonna like it, kind of thing. Like everyone just did not care for him. But when you look at Harold was the only parent in his fucking life to ever truly love Loki. Like it's one of those things that I think, and yet surprisingly, at least from what I understand of this chapter, there was still a hole in, as the narration says, there was still a hole in his heart. So like, no matter, even it was a hole that that couldn't be filled in by Harold. And I think that in part is also the reason it's shown, like that's the reason as to why Loki even acted out many times over. Like he just wanted to find that thing that could fill the hole in his heart, the thing that he felt he was missing in his life. Like with Loki, he really has kind of lived a life where he's never really he's always kind of experienced just that he has no experience love through Harold, but it's also kind of true in some ways that I think it came almost too little too late. Like for as much as Loki genuinely did love Harold and Harold as a parent, I think it's like he still just never could find himself to really in order to fill that hole either. He could never find a way to truly fill that hole that I think Estrid really left on him. Like it's kind of one of those permanent scars that's never truly healed in a way. And no matter how much he tried, no matter how much parental love Harold gave, I think. And another thing we get though is that we apparently hear that one of the interesting conversations in this chapter is that there's a band of giants that supposedly went missing, and that kind of fits into basically what we know about it's one of those things that pretty much it's what we've known about the history with giants and the world government for a long time, which is that giants have been conscripted into the government forces since basically the dawn of times. Since for longer than we can probably imagine. So the missing band of giants that Harold was talking about, Jirol, I think. It's fair to say it was the government on their bullshit again, conscripting giants without even knowing. And it's funny how that happens in the backdrop of it's funny how that does happen in the backdrop of all of Harold's work to kind of open in order to open Elbaf to the world. Like the world government doesn't give a shit whether, like, the world government, it shows the world government really doesn't give a shit whether Elbaf opens its doors to the world or not. Like you are going to be who you've always been, monsters conscripted to serve under us. Like it just shows like the absolute blatant sort of like they have no the only ones that they seem to the only extent they care is if it serves their purpose. So it's like the government cares if it serves their purpose, but like they're already that it's like it's so in a way Harold sort of opening the doors to Elbaf was really just of the Elbaf to the world was really just putting shit on paper to the world government that they're still gonna go on their bullshit kind of thing. of kidnapping giants and whatnot, and and one thing I do like that this chapter does cover is that it does kind of, and it kind of goes back to Loki acting out. I do like how we get a little bit of the sibling dynamic between Loki and Harudine in this chapter, and how they're basically they're two sides of the same. They really are two sides of the same coin. One believes more in the force in the force of Elbeth, the idea that strength and might are the way, and one is raised believing that you have to fight when you need to, but that there is always room to for peace to get along. And it is kind of interesting how after Harald it is interesting how, in a way, after Harald started his campaign for peace, it's the sort of things kind of went a weird reversal with Loki and Harald. Like, at a certain point, Loki was being treated like the fucking monster, and now, but after a certain point, it was also that, and then Harudine was seen as the good child, but again, somehow at a certain point, like after Harald had started to raise Loki as his accepted Loki as his son and whatnot, those roles reversed. So even though Loki was still causing trouble, Loki was seen now by many as the true heir, the true child of Harald, and Harudine was seen as the bastard. But it's like, so it's interesting how things went despite Loki's reputation, although yet it still didn't stop Loki from being seen as ultimately still a monster for killing Harald. And it's like, it truly is interesting how circumstance really defined how things went down with these two brothers. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Blue Sky, and with Crunchyroll, be sure to push the subscribe button, and just share it around, guys. Dark Knight of a Night signing off. Later, everyone. Well.